Hi everybody. I just wanted to do a quick tutorial talking about blocking in and just one little trick you can do with colour. To start with, we've gone through week 8, we've gone through week 9. Week 8 where we're doing general sketches, general research. Week 9 where we're doing focused sketches, focused research. By the way, with the general stuff, you can just do line art. With the focused stuff, especially with the sketches, start adding more of those details that you were learning about, the rule of thirds, the silhouettes, all that sort of stuff. But also you could try adding either shading if you haven't already, or color if you like. Okay, so what I'm showing you now could either be when you start your final environment, or in some of the thumbnails you're doing as in your focused area. Okay, in your focused drawings. So what I've done here is I've just got some of these lined up, ruled up for 16:9 squares. I'm in RGB color space, okay, but what can be quite nice is in swatches, if you've got this version of Photoshop, you can have these grayscale values here. So I choose a brush. Kyle's brushes are pretty good, but you can get any sort of brush that's sort of a rough sort of edge or whatever. So there's some kind of nice, well, that was a bit different. You can do, like the cartoonist one is pretty cool. So you can do all sorts of stuff like that. Just a nice sort of edge. But I will use just some things here. I'll start off light. So with blocking in, and there's plenty of tutorials about blocking in week 12. I'll just do something week 10. I'll just do something really rough. So say, these could be mountains or something like that. Okay, just really simple. And you might not have your squares butting up like this. And I, of course, when I'm doing this, I, of course, would be working on layers, okay, if I wanted to take them apart. Say, some rocks and bits and pieces like that. Let's do that. Okay, so, this is very simple, like I said. So say that's some rocky outcrops and things like that. You can see that the darker I get, the more stuff is in the foreground. So this is some vegetation. Okay. And say it's a fence. Something like that. All right, whoop. All right, so you can see that just very quickly I've produced an environment based on just blocking in, okay? So that's what I mean by blocking in. All right, so just the grayscale or progressively darker or with color, whatever, that is how you basically block in. Okay, now that we've got that, I'm going to go into a color layer, and if you set these transparency modes, okay, or layer modes, normal. All right, so let's say we want green trees. They don't need to be green, but let's just try that. If I go into my color layer, so okay, I've done all these grays, I've done some blocking in, but if I just wanted to add color just at this stage or at any stage after this, I can do masks and things like that, and we'll show you how to do masks later. But if you wanted to do some color, okay, just roughly, this was what would happen if you just added color like this, right? Okay. But if you do this with the transparency mode set to color, all right, and then you muck around with opacity, then you can actually muck around with the blending as well. Okay, so I'm not doing this in layers, so this is pretty rough and ready, but you can have, let's do this, you could have all sorts of stuff just coloured just slightly, just so that you've got a really rough idea of how to block things in and to just use simple colour. Okay, let's try something else. Let's try like purple background. Okay, so you can start mucking around with transparency modes. Okay, first of all, I'm using just, I mean, these are just grayscale swatches, but normally, you know, whatever's at the back is lighter and then it gets darker in front. But, you know, you could use some of these preset swatches and do that. If I was doing like a white sky here, this is what this would look at. If you wanted to do like a color layer, have a play around with these transparency modes, but the actual color layer is really good and it will give you some really nice results. So in color, okay. And look, you should be using masks with this, but that's fine before we know how to do it. And if I just play around with different transparency and stuff, you can get some really nice little effects doing this. Okay, so just a really rough and ready little toot with how to use transparency modes, how to block things in, and you can get some really nice little effects just like that.